Super Awkward Funcast. You're listening to the Super Awkward Funcast. Yeah. Welcome to the Super Awkward Funcast. This is the 18th episode of the show that goes by so fast. We've been doing this for 4 years? That's hilarious. I'm really lazy.
Well, that's good. You made it to 18. You've done your job as a parent. Now your child can.
Now we can go to war.
have sex and go have some more children.
Now we're Afghanistan, basically.
We are Afghanistan. You're right. That's why
shout out to Afghanistan.
We grow all the opium poppies.
I
right
feel
here.
for you. I really do. No more war, and don't hit the table, please. This is my guest, Steven Robles. He's back.
Hi.
Your favorites, Elle and Steven.
That's right.
One-on-one.
It's actually not L and S. It's E and S. Actually, it's J and S, but we won't go there.
Okay. Everyone knows my real name is Jennifer. It's not a secret. It's on my IMDb.
I'm going to call you Jen Jen. It's going to be a name for me.
It literally says Jennifer Elizabeth Latham. If you want to dox me, it's too late. I already did it. All right. Anyway. So the Oscars happened. I guess we should talk about that.
Yeah, I didn't really care. There wasn't anything.
A lot of people didn't care.
Yeah.
It was the lowest rated Oscars telecast.
Well, that's what happens when you socialize everything. You know, nobody really. I understand the value of more women in Hollywood. I'm all for that. I mean, all the sets I'm on are like 60% women, so I don't know what they're talking about. But anyway,
I always have a lot of women myself.
Me too. I always have a lot of women, and my bosses at Fox, my top 3 bosses were all women. I don't know. I really don't know what they're talking about. They're talking about women that feel they should get more and don't have more, so they start complaining about shit. And like, well, that guy's a director. I'm like, yeah, but he's been working in the business for 30 years. What have you been doing? So that's what I felt about the Oscars. You had a few experienced directors, you had a few first-time directors, and then you had one guy, the guy who won, Guillermo del Toro, who is a genius. And the way I described his movie is you see his genius without an ounce of hubris. And I believe that the other experienced contenders in the category had a little bit of hubris to what they were doing, a little bit of auteurism. And then, Lady Bird and the other guy, they're first timers. Like, what do you want? Like, you're not going to win off the bat coming in your first time.
The other guy, Jordan Peele.
Yeah, Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
Which I liked his movie. I didn't see Lady Bird. It appealed zero to me. But but Get Out was a good movie. It was an Oscar movie? Not really. I mean, even the screenwriting wasn't that great. But it's good. It was a good first effort, and you should be rewarded for that. He was Indie Spirit Awards, right? So he was rewarded for that.
Yeah.
But an Oscar? So
he won Best Original Screenplay.
A bone. They threw him a bone. But, because Guillermo should have won for everything. So,
yeah.
Because that movie was brilliant and perfect for the time. It was a great.
And I also love about that movie is that it was like a unifying kind of film. It got everybody to be on board. And I really like, especially in a Cold War kind of Cold War era of McCarthyism and everything in the media, I really like to see the pro-Russian kind of very subtle, but like it seemed to be saying something about.
It's saying the theme of that whole movie is loneliness and longing.
Pro-people. It's a pro-people.
It's pro-socialism, but not in the political rhetoric, but in sociability. So everybody needs somebody. Everybody has to have somebody, and if you don't have somebody in the lessons of this movie, part of you is missing. And so everybody in this movie is longing for something and not getting it. The most tragic figure in the movie is Michael Shannon, I think. Because he has everything that he needs.
Yes.
He has everything he needs: wife, good home, good job, family, but nothing that he wants.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Right.
Yes.
So they have the Russian doctor who wants to, he's sort of the mad scientist, right? So he wants to explore science at any cost. And it doesn't matter who he's working for. He just wants to see the results of his work.
It's the work before the mission, like whoever I'm supposed to be.
And so Fishman is...
Loyalty.
Yeah, loyalty, but also familial connection, right? The Fishman is basically his child.
Exactly.
Or his brother, maybe, And so he wants to see that to conclusion, has no interest in the politics of it.
Yeah,
which I think is a good lesson for people now in the entertainment business, to realize that politics are going to destroy the art that they're creating.
Yes.
Or it's already destroying the art they're creating. And, the Jordan Peele thing is an example of that, style over substance. And it's a great movie. Again, great movie. No problem with it. Didn't find all that scary, but it was, it's good. But I think he's going to make several good movies before he gets his Oscar, if he does.
Yeah.
And Steven Spielberg, again, hubris. Like, I'm going to put this movie up. It's going to be big and great, Oscar bait all the way. Like, you get all these people, like Tom Hanks doing a character, which is really weird. But I actually didn't see that movie. I wanted to. I wanted to. I just never made it.
I'm not ever going to see it, probably.
No, I love movies about journalism. I like movies like that.
I just don't like movies made from people who are now part of the problem.
Well, I don't think Spielberg's part of the problem. I think he's far from the problem.
Not Spielberg himself, but the producing.
Oh, I don't care about that. That doesn't bother me. So like I said, the politics don't bother me. Like, the politics of entertainment are one thing, but the politics of the United States are a different thing. And I don't care what they're doing. Like, none of this Trump stuff bothers me. I don't care about any of it. I care about zero. It's the show.
We're different.
Well, because you want to be involved in that. You want to care about it. I don't, because I realize that it's all a show. It's all the World Wrestling Federation. That's what's happening.
I know it's a show too.
So I just choose to ignore it. In 4 years, we're gonna have another president. Everything's gonna be reversed. The other side's gonna be mad. It's all gonna be stupid shit.
And then in 20 years, we'll love Trump. Everybody will love Trump.
Well, they'll look back
and
be like,
Bush.
oh yeah, he'll be painting shit and like painting an elephant. Be like, look at my sad clown. He'll be like,
Hitler was a painter too. Just saying.
Yeah, and Hitler's a whole other thing. But But I think the politics now, the show of the presidential politics, is just a distraction.
It is.
Well, but I also think that the stuff they're doing needs to get done. So, there are things that have to get done that only a villain can do. And that's what Trump is doing. He's playing the heel, right? His best friend in the world is Vince McMahon from the World Wrestling Federation and Howard Stern, right? The two biggest trolls on the planet. Like, those guys know how to manipulate the media, and they know how to manipulate public sentiment to make it work. And Vince knows in the wrestling world that the heel is the most attractive character because everybody hates the heel. But at some point, they do what's called a turn, right? From heel to babyface, which is babyface is a good guy in wrestling and heel is a bad guy. So Trump right now is the biggest heel because he's got to be.
So is he going to achieve peace in North Korea with the U.S.?
I think he might.
Long-lasting.
I think he might create economic peace.
Because there's always that.
Because well, not always, but he knows.
With them,
but he knows money. Like that's his language. He doesn't like. Okay, when I was in the hospital for a week, right, and I'm watching Fox News, and because it's the one that was on, and they have this guy come on. He's not really a pro-Trump pundit, but he fancies himself as like sort of middle of the road guy, and they're talking about Puerto Rico at the time, and they're saying, well, he's showing no empathy. He's like, we didn't hire this guy to be empathic. We didn't hire an empathic president. That's not what we wanted. We got that the last time. We hired a guy who's going to get job done. We didn't hire a guy who's going to have feelings and emotions. That's not why we hired this guy. We hired this guy to get the job done, right? So he's like, and he's trying to get the job done. They had the director of FEMA on there talking about what they were trying to do, showing all the photographs and trying to explain this stuff. And I'm like, well, this is a very well-reasoned argument. There was no anger in it. And even though when the FEMA director was on, he was the acting FEMA director, he looked so tired, like his staff behind him looked so exhausted. And the reporter was like trying to poke him about this Trump stuff, and I got a new understanding of that, of how the media manipulates things. This reporter was really poking this guy to like be anti-Trump. He's like, I'm not going to do it. He's like, I don't have time for that. Do you see what we're doing? You see the picture. You see the same pictures I do. Puerto Rico is destroyed. It's destroyed. The whole country is destroyed. Yes. You can't go in 3 days and fix this thing. You're like, what about the ship sitting in the port? He could have put him in there last week. He's like, last week there was another hurricane. He's like, we brought him in the first hurricane. We kept him offshore. Another hurricane came through. And now we have to wait for them to come onto land, right?
I think there's a lot of simplistic statements out there from the Democratic elites and the people who know that they're saying stupid shit, but they want you to believe it. Well, and that's a problem on both sides where there's solutions stated that aren't really solutions.
Right.